Let's get right into it. We start with Tony Ferguson. What are the keys to victory for Tony Ferguson? Create chaos. In the space lies the chaos, and chaos is really just patterns that we haven't understood yet. Tony understands those patterns. The second key for Tony Ferguson, snap down city. We talked about it in the opening. He snaps you down and gets into that front headlock position, and he has a million different routes to victory from there. And the third one, be a hooker. You know, just get in there and be a hooker. Let's take a look at the viz here. Tony Ferguson, create chaos, snap down city, and be a hooker. Creating chaos, man, out in the space lies the chaos. Bruce Lee once said, in chaos lies opportunity, and this guy shows you that. In the chaos, he's ready, he's focused, he's improvisational, and he will always figure it out. But if you get into that position with him where you're there's some chaos. You get into this snap down city position with him, he will take that position and get his chest in the middle of your back, and he controls from there. A ton of different sequences, all of which lead you into some real big trouble, some quicksand. Beautiful stuff. That guy owns this position. If you go in, you shoot on his hips, he will own the position. Hey, look, Eddie was a dirty hooker against our RDA, so you can be a hooker too. Big, huge, wide hooks, uppercuts and hooks. Eddie believed that there was openings in between the guard, and if you came in there and you were a hooker, you could land on him.
In that chaotic situation, though, isn't the opponent of Ferguson, doesn't matter who he is, have an opportunity to land because everything is so chaotic?
In chaos lies opportunity. That's what Bruce Lee said. He didn't mean just for Tony.
Yeah.
He meant that chaos, there was opportunity for everybody.
You realize someone's going to recap this segment saying, Robin's talking about hookers with two Johns. Our keys to victory for our former lightweight champion, Robin.
All right. Very, very different because he's a very different fighter. And against Tony, you got to really simplify. So let's take a look at the keys to victory for RDA. Kiss, the rock band. No, Kiss, keep it simple, stupid. And that is one of the keys when you're fighting Tony. If he's so improvisational and he's coloring outside the lines, you kiss him. And the second one, the second key, shin bone. This guy's shin bone is a lethal weapon. Dig it into the flesh. And the third one for RDA, you got to stay centered when you get into Tony's guard. Let's take a look at some of this footage here. Paul Shaughnessy did a great job pulling this stuff together. RDA, yep, just keep it simple. You know, instead of chaos for him, he wants the opposite. You get in and you use nice advanced fundamentals. Keep it simple. There's the shin bone. Dig it into the leg, dig it into the leg, dig it into the body if you can as well, and just drive it in there. The switch kick, dig it in. Oh, Donald took some bad ones. And even off the arms, you see him, he will land on your arms happily because that'll wear you down as well. If he's in Tony's guard, this guy has got to stay centered, keep his hands off the mat, and just work from inside the guard. In the passes, in the transitions, he'll get caught. And of course, if he's on the bottom, re-guard against Tony Ferguson, but stay centered in that guard and do your pounding from there. It's a really awesome fight. They're almost opposites in the way they have to approach it, and I can't wait to see it.
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw RDA take this fight down to the ground, showcase his jiu-jitsu. You have to remember, he's spent years working with Fabrizio Verdum, who is arguably the best jiu-jitsu guy, certainly in the heavyweight division, but you know, you can argue as a mixed martial arts jiu-jitsu fighter, maybe one of the best out there.
If Tony's a good enough hooker, it won't even get there.
I think as well you can look at Anthony Pettis, another guy that would take those risks that you sometimes see with Tony Ferguson. And in their fight, it was the pace to me of Dos Anjos, being able to pressure him back, and it was just constant strikes. And it was putting the fighter in a defensive position. He did it with Nate Diaz as well, who didn't adjust from those leg kicks as well. There's so many different weapons that Dos Anjos has in the striking department that sometimes we forget about that submission.
And that's what
game.
he's got to do. He's got to hurt Ferguson. He's got to break him down because he's nearly unbreakable. He's going to keep moving forward. We saw in the fight with Edson Barboza. You've got to kill him or he is going to find a way to secure a submission. And that's what it comes down to when it's this fight with RDA. He's going to try his best to break Ferguson.